Hey foodies, it's me, Tara, your friendly neighborhood kitch witch, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Recipes for the Cooking Impaired. Yes, you heard me correct, cooking impaired, because even the professionals can use a little help in the kitchen. I'm just kidding, none of us are professionals, but that does not mean we can't make something delicious, something impressive that does not have to be as difficult as deboning a duck. Sorry for all of you fans of Julia Childs. Boning a duck is hard as heck. We're not going to do that today. We're not boning ducks or anything else that sounds mildly sexual. What we're going to do today is we are going to make cauliflower risotto bake. So this is a delicious vegetable. We do add a little meat to it. So in this recipe, if you don't want it to be a meaty food, if you're vegetarian or vegan, I will give you some options. We'll go into that. But to start us out, right before we whip up our magic in the kitchen, we're going to look at the recipe because you can't do nothing without a recipe, especially when you're still learning. All right, so here we go. All right, we have 7 cups of cauliflower. Now, they have to be cauliflower florets. This is approximately one whole cauliflower. Florets are when they've been cut into pieces, as opposed to the whole head. Don't put the whole head in the risotto. That's way too much to stick into your mouth. It won't fit. It won't fit. I chose to do frozen cauliflower florets, and we're going to go ahead and we just went ahead and let them thaw out instead. If you're doing fresh and you cut them yourself, you're going to need to boil it for a bit so that it's not super hard. And a bit would be like 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the heat that you use for your stove. Anyway, next one is 2 cloves of garlic minced. Now, if you don't have the garlic cloves, the little round garlics, the other option is you can use refrigerated minced garlic, which is what I actually used. It's already been cut into minced tiny little chunks, and it's a wet form. It'll work either way. I do not recommend using dried minced garlic for this one. You either want it fresh or you want it from the refrigerator where it's moist and it still has all that good juice. 1 teaspoon of black pepper divided. So instead of 1 teaspoon, we're going to do half a teaspoon mixed in with the salt, which we'll get to in a minute, and the other half left by itself. And I'll explain why as we go. Next, we have half a teaspoon of sea salt, and this could be any kind. It could be regular sea salt, natural sea salt. It could be Himalayan sea salt, which is very pink. Any of those are fine as long as it's the sea salt. We have 1 tablespoon, not teaspoon, because it's TBSP, olive oil. Extra virgin is what I used. Any version of olive oil is fine. 3/4 cup of vegetable broth. Now, I didn't go and buy vegetable broth. What I had was vegetable um, bouillon, which will be fine to use as a broth. What you do is I put the 3/4 cup of water, heated it up in the microwave, then added the 1 cube, and let it dissolve. That's how I made the broth. You can go and buy vegetable broth if you want, but again, those of you that have seen my videos, you know I am a big fan of use what you got. Don't stress it. Sometimes it's good to make little substitutions. Next, we have half a cup of grated Parmesan. This needs to be the actual Parmesan, not the powdered stuff you throw on top of pizzas and spaghetti. It has to actually be the cheese, either in shaves or shredded. I use the shredded. The reason being is that it's going to need to melt while it's cooking, and that won't melt if it's the powdered stuff. So please use the other stuff. This is half a cup for inside. We are going to put a little bit over the top. So if you have more than half a cup of the shredded or the sheared Parmesan cheese, that'll be great because it tastes really great on top. Next, we have 3 tablespoons of unsweetened original almond milk, not oil, almond milk. Partly reason we picked this also makes it a vegan option. Plus, the almonds taste really good in this bake because you're also adding almonds to it later on. All right, next 1 pound or 1 pound bunch of asparagus, and you're going to trim it and call it and cut it small, about 1 inch, so about yay big cut, and that's going to go in the bake. Next, we have 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter. We're going to be melting this, so don't worry about it, guys. It's going to be okay. Butter is our friend sometimes, as long as you don't go crazy with it. 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. 2 tablespoons of almonds. You can use pine nuts if you want, but since we're using the almond milk, I like pairing the nuts together. So almonds. Pine nuts also tend to be super expensive, so just a heads up. A lot of times, way more than the almonds are. And then there's always the chance that if you are somebody that has allergies, my camera lady reminded me that some of you might be allergic to nuts. This is an option. You don't have to use the nuts. Same with the almond milk. You can use regular milk. Um, but for someone that is not that doesn't have an allergy to nuts, or is somebody that's going vegan or vegetarian, it's nice to have the options. 2 tablespoons of chives. Fresh chives is the best. I didn't have any fresh chives on hand. I did, however, have some freeze dried cut chives. They're already cut up small, and I'm going to use those. Once it starts cooking, it'll be totally fine. Last is 1 pound of ground beef. Now, for those of you that are vegetarian or vegan and you don't want to use beef, I totally get you. It's totally fine. There are so many options for ground not meat or the plant based beyond beef. Um, that's also an option. Or you could do it with no meat types at all, just make it a vegetable entirely. It'll still cook the same, it'll still be fine. The only difference is when you're cooking it, you're going to mix the um, Parmesan sauce that we make and everything in with the vegetables a little bit sooner than you would if you're doing it with with the cooking of the beef. Another sub option, if you are wanting it to have more of a seafood flavor, you can do 12 scallops. I thought about this, but I decided I did a fish one, not a fish episode not that long ago, and thought, no, no, let's do some ground beef. That, and a lot of people have ground beef at home. So, not a lot of people have scallops sitting in their freezer. And this is a big saying of, hey, let's use what we got. All right, so now again, my metric fans, I got you covered. Don't stress, guys. Here we go. And you're done. All right, we're going to go to our stage and cooking area, and we're going to get started on this. See you over there. Okay, guys, and I forgot something super important in the list of requirements. We also need pie crust. This is 2 rolls. So we're going to unroll it, and then we're going to roll the cooked food into it to make our bake. You can use a pie tin and make it kind of like a pot pie style where you put a top and bottom, but we're actually going to roll it into almost like a cinnamon roll, but without cutting it. We'll cut into it when it's ready to eat it. But I'll show you how to do that when we get to that point. But as you can see, we have all of our items. We got our cauliflower, we got our vegetable broth, our pepper, our olive oil. This has got the chives and the salt and the other half of the pepper in it. We have almonds, the garlic, and our asparagus that's already been cut, Parmesan, and this is our meat. Our meat's going to get cooked. So I went ahead and opted for the lean, 80 to 20% fat. And this is our milk with our lemon. It's fine being mixed together because it's going to be cooked down. All right, so the very first things first is we are going to cook our meat. I also have the oven preheating for 350 right now.